Hi guys, welcome to The Identity. Thank you for tuning into Hope Channel Kenya. And for those of us who have just bumped in, rather who are not aware that we are back on air, yes, we are back on air. And we started last week, so this week is just going to be a continuation of our series, and we are talking about communication. Last week we were talking about communication on an individual level, and this week we have taken a step ahead to talk about communication in the family level. And in my preparation to this discussion, I came across an interesting comment here, and I would like to read to you that when man left the Garden of Eden, he left with him two institutions. That is the institution of marriage and Sabbath. And sadly, the devil is working sleeplessly to disrupt the harmony and the unity that was and should be there in these two institutions. And today we're going to talk about family, communication in the family level. To help me further this discussion is my brother, my friend, Bundi Mukamba. Vipi?
Niko salama.
Habari ya masiku?
Siku yapo.
Yapo? Boro, kwani kuko boro hai category yama? Pull up the mic.
Niko tu.
Uko tu.
Niko salama.
Karibu sana. Next to him is a sister friend of mine. She's called Winnie Getanda. Hi.
I'm good.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Thank God.
Amen.
Thank God for that.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be on the show.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Next to me is Diane. Before
say Diana. That's what you know.
Okay. Since it's now put out there, I'm going to do this once. Mr. and Mrs. Andrew. Oh, you know, Diane. Hi.
Hi, I'm glad to be on the show.
Karibu sana.
And you can call me Diane, whichever is comfortable. My name is Diane. Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Or Dion, Mrs. Owino. I'm the Owino.
Karibu sana. And again, please join us in this conversation as we take this discussion further. Our social media handles, that is Facebook, Hope Channel Kenya. You can also get to a social media account that is The Identity. On Twitter is @Hope_Kenya. Don't worry, if you missed last week's show, it's on YouTube, that is Hope Channel Kenya, and this show will be put on YouTube similarly. Now, communication, family, with my prior disposition is that the devil is working sleeplessly to cause disharmony in the family. Andrew, why is the devil so interested in the family?
Well, he knows that if he can succeed with disorganizing the family, he will have succeeded in disorganizing the society. Because the family is the basic building unit of the society. Sure.
So if there was a structure that was supposed to be built in over society, the basic cell or the most important cell is the family.
Actually, family came ahead of governments, of schools. Family is the oldest institution and the most basic of all institutions.
That is where the devil is very interested. Bundi, before to discuss family communication as a challenges, what makes up a family?
First and foremost, a family. Okay, personally, I call Jesus my best friend. And just looking at Jesus, and my line of career is in buildings, and I love Jesus how he alitengeneza. He's the great architect. That's how we call him, the great architect. And when you look at a family, it's a very small cell, but when you see how many things come up from a family, it's really very big. I mean, you cannot imagine.
Hold up the mic. Huh?
You know how people say that the anatomy of man. People have tried even to build cars or to build something from the anatomy of man, and they can't. So a family it's a small thing, but it's made up of really a big thing. And partly it's made up of a father, a mother, children, and family is not just them. So the family is a really small cell, but it's comprised of very many things. That's what I can say.
Well, when you put it like that, my mind just clicks to that day when people are ushered now that what God has put together, let no man
put asunder.
But then in the current society, somebody can say a family is made up of Steve and her and Joshua. Eh?
Yeah,
Get under.
there's-
Get under. What is a family? If you were to like put them out singly.
What I can say about family, just when you look at the Bible, the beginning, Genesis, God created man, and out of Adam came Eve. So we cannot talk of Steve and is it Harvey?
Yeah, Steve or Harvey.
It can't work.
Mhm.
It's a unit that it is a family is a unit, and it was created for man and woman, and that cannot change. And I think society and embracing because it's now that the African culture is embracing the Western culture of, gayism and all this, but family is man and woman.
Diane, sasa hawa Steve and Harvey, hiyo ni nini sasa?
In our current society today, where lesbianism and homosexuality are an issue that we can't run away from, it's just an evidence of the cultural influences all over. I would say it wasn't a culture anywhere, actually. And it's just recently that this has arisen, that, certain people, a certain group of people who espouse to particular beliefs want themselves recognized, and because of that, it's something that we have to deal with and we can't run away from. But the Bible has clear directions about this. God says this is not acceptable. It is when God created man, he created the man and woman, and it's something we can't run away from. Think about procreation, for example. Even if you married Steve and Harvey, you'd still have to look for a bank somewhere to get an ova. Yeah, because you need a woman. And you'll find there are different things in the mechanism of how a male operates and how a female operates that not only affects their biology, but also affects their communication.
I think what I'm borrowing from your insight is that basically, if you were to like answer it to a class 2 kid, a family ni daddy na mami. Watoto wakikuja ni mibaraka.
Though not quite, I would add.
Before you head on, and also due to death, it could also comprise to a widower or a widow with the child.
Well, today you look at books, even in this country, it's very difficult to define a family. The new published books have family as not father, mother, and as we have always known it. But these are what you began with. This is what we call the direct attack on the family.
The basic.
I like looking at it as the improvement on God's idea. And God was perfect. You can't improve on his idea. When you improve on his idea, you end up with what is, I call perversion, GMO family.
GMO
a
ideas.
perversion. A family needs to still consist of a male as the head, female as the wife, and then if children would occur, and then there is the extension of the family as we go along. These are what we call sins against family. And they have only ended up in perversion, in depravation. For a man was created not, you can't have a man and a man. A man has only exits.
Hold it right there. Now, with such a base, I'm left to ask. We are talking about communication. Last episode, you had stated that as much as the greatest technological advancements have been communication, the greatest challenge derives from here. And again, you alluded that families break up not necessarily because of money, but because of communication. I'm left to wonder, with the 2-3 reasons, why is it important to talk about communication in a family, yet when you are taking your vows, it was all rose and flowers and everything?
I think the importance lies in this one thing, that you'll find every couple or every family, at one point they really loved each other. Before a man and a woman went before God and took their vows, they at one point really loved each other. At the point of divorce or separation, you ask them, did you love this guy? Yeah, but how come you are divorcing? How come a child cannot speak to a father, yet this is your own father? How come you cannot call an uncle, yet this is your uncle? It's because there is knowledge lacking in terms of how to communicate. And that knowledge on how to communicate is what families need to know. That a family is the basic unit, even for learning communication. A child normally would repeat words that they have heard people saying around them. If you take that same child, put them around goats, for example, and ensure they never hear a human sound, what would happen? Yes, that's the sound you're going to hear from the kid, because that's all they've been hearing. And if families today keep sending down messages to generations to come, and these are wrong messages on how to communicate, chances are that societies down the line are going to learn all the wrong ways of communication. So you'll find governments that don't know how to communicate, institutions that don't know how to communicate, schools that don't know how to communicate, students who don't know how to communicate, and the worst is families that are breaking, not because they don't love each other, but because they just don't know how.
Wow. You know, well, every time that you think about communication in a family and the challenges, there's something that always pops out. Statistics show that, you know, the X amount of people are breaking, not because of money, not because need your communication. But I'm asking, hizi statistics ni za Kenya ama ni za kule kwingine? Basically, I'm asking, Bundi, is it felt at home level that we should regard communication seriously because the family is at risk?
This calls for wisdom. And they say the old advice, with age comes wisdom. And I don't say I'm really wise, but with the little that I've done and also the study that I've seen and through the statistics, these statistics are felt at home, at our level. And in fact, not even at our level like our country, but even in our church and our friends, they come with the same issues. And even as you hear them talk, and even as some of them come for advice, or even as you chat, you know, as like brothers, you can say as brothers, we talk, we say things. And this, it really comes down to this communication. How, because when you dig deeper, when you see how, okay, why are you breaking up? Or why are you not feeling the love again? You hear, squeezy, I hear, okay, this is something that I've had with ladies that, you know, the guy when he was dating, when he was trying to get me, akinifukuza, akinitafuta ama akinikatia kwa lugha nyingine, alikuwa ananipigia simu asubuhi, mchana, jioni, akinijulia hali yangu. But after we got together, after a few times, squeezy ako busy. Mimi nashangaa, okay, ako busy the other time. Ananiambia, niko busy, I'll call you in the evening. So it's really felt. The statistics are not wrong, they are felt at home.
Wow. And there's somebody who's watching at home and is probably going through this hardship. The families, they can communicate. I think this show should go out to them, and probably what you're going to discuss is going to really echo what is desired from the Bible, and also what is good and what is expected of a family. But now, to progress with our communication, now since we're saying communication is a challenge, how is it a challenge? Is it watu waliacha kuongea wakaanza kutumia emoji ama ni aje? How is it really a challenge?
Communication is a challenge right now. Not necessarily because of maybe social media, where we communicate using our phones, but our lifestyles, to start with, our lifestyles. For instance, I'll use my example. I wake up in the morning, I go to work by 8, you should be in the office. By the time you come back, Nairobi traffic, by the time you get into the house, it is 9 or 10. At what point do you sit down with even your parents or your siblings to even say hi to each other? And
How was your day?
how was your day? What happened? Or just checking up on each other. It's a challenge. So there's that aspect of it, and then also social media, where now everything is hi, how you, what's happening in your life? Period. Emojis. I'm good. The thumbs up works. Unless you hear someone calling you and telling you, you know what, I have a particular problem. That's when now you start now, going and trying to find out what's happening in their life. So there's a disconnect. There's no communication. It does at this point in life. We are not communicating properly.
There's something I'm picking from now is that our lifestyles have changed. Back then, wakati kulikuwa na the liberty ya ku relax, where you can go and have some wise words from your father kule karibu na jiko, imechange saizi, wise words inakuja kutoka kwa vitabu.
People would go and work together, and as you work with your father on the farm, there would be values being passed down. You'd have enough time to talk. Today the father is in the village, I'm in the city, I'm working, busy. Your
Very
mother
busy
calls you
life.
at middle of the day, you are at work. You can't call in the evening, so they get your call once. Or even those who live with their parents, when you come back, like she said, you're busy, or your phone is actually there. I saw another statistics. I saw another statistics that 50% of parents today report that when they get home, their children don't even say hello because they are on phone or TV. And you can tell if communication has been affected to the level that people can't even say hello, what else shall we say? We are...
So with the lifestyle changes, it has posed a great challenge to communication in a family. Now, then, as a youth, since it's basically youths in relation to family, are the youth contributing to these challenges? Ama we are just si ni mafans, tunaona vile kuna hizo issues, lakini si ni mafans, tunangoja ni sisi tuingie ulingoni.
I think everyone is a contributor to the challenge, and the youths are not excluded, because you'll find who are the biggest majority of people on social media. It's young people. And so today, family time at home has been replaced by social media time or TV watching time or music listening time, such that when you'd expect a young person to be talking to their parents, they're busy chatting somebody else online or storing, and by the time they have time with their parents, it's usually, how is your day? And the young person says, fine. And because the parent is tired and they had a very busy schedule, the parent decides, he said it's fine, let me go and sleep. And by the time you realize years have passed, your kid has grown up, they're getting married, and then you realize, I never taught this person what it means to be getting married. So you now try and get in a hurry to teach this person everything over a night or something. So everyone is a contributor to, the breaking of communication in the home. There's also the aspect of people just not knowing how to resolve conflict. Let's say you did something wrong and you're the young person, or your parents offended you, and the young person decides to withdraw for life, and the parent decides, this is my house, you live by my rules, you'll find your own roof another time. And so people are withdrawn from each other because of conflict. People don't study, how do I resolve conflicts, and it's both ways, both the young person and the elderly people who need to learn that, hey, if I'm in a conflict, I can actually speak about it and share my mind about it, and I don't have to be, reprimanded or put on spot because I shared my mind. Today there are people in organizations who can't say what is on their mind because the same thing in the family has been transferred to the organization, because if you speak your mind, my friend, you're fired. But it started at home.
Let me also add another contribution that is from the direction of the youth. The parents have a contribution in this. The parent comes home with work on the laptop. Maybe that cannot be looked at. But the young people only mirror what they see. Once somebody older can do something, maybe a parent is on his phone during food time, that becomes the norm. They simply pick what they see. The young people simply pick what they see. Let me be straight here. I stand in the divide between youth and parent. I spoke with one young person. They told me they don't want their parents to text them. Parents, your young people want you to talk to them.
Don't text.
I mean, not.
Talk to me.
I mean, I don't know. Your father has texted you. Hi.
Probably. Let us go back to the ground. Bundi, ushe chat na mzai.
Eti mna chat.
But chatting, I was listening to the last presentation, the first one that you had about communication and upbringing. And yes, Brother Andrew was there also. And he said, okay, he speaks big words and they can't paraphrase them. But he spoke about how technology, something to do with technology and some big words that he followed. And taking it, technology is not bad fully. And also it's not good fully. As they put it, that you have to do some moderation. And me talking with Dad, I can't say okay, personally, I don't chat so much. I to chat, but sisi ukaa chini, tunaongea, ama sisi upiga simu, na tunaongea. That is much more, it's much more, unanipata.
Nakupata. But then it's okay.
In fact, what he has said echoes what I was thinking rightly. It's not the small contact a child wants with the parent. It's the big contact. And that big contact is a summation of both. Like you can use the social media to find out where your child is, his safety. You can form family groups for, like I said in the previous show, social media can be used positively. But when the whole communication is around it and it is also negative, it's not giving what she said. It's not giving time, family time. There is no value passing time.
There's something that just adverse.
But then there is also another concept of a young person who has grown up, and let's say they've moved out of home. Their parents live, up country, far away. And then this young person, usually they anticipate that because you're in Nairobi, you're the one to call. Like the young person is always the one to call. He's always the one looking out for family. And no family is looking out for him. And there's this notion that, you're my son, you're in Nairobi, you are working in the big city, so you should call your aunties, your relatives, your uncle, and nobody is looking out for him. Eventually, this person ends up being alone, and that's how we end up with suicide. And you're wondering, how did this, he was fine, he was okay. But he's always the one looking out, and nobody's looking for him.
I want to interject you on that point and say that also, what you've said has alluded to what you're going to tackle also on part 2, that culture also has had an impact on how we perceive communication. This is reference to the youths, to the family, and also family and vice versa. And you've actually given some quite good insights on the approach that, not even the approach, the mentality that our parents have. Kwa nyumbani, you can say ni kweli ama ni uongo, but you can only do that through a social media account, apart from kuongea kwa nyumba. That is on Facebook, The Identity, and on Twitter at @Hope_Kenya. You can also find me on my Facebook account, that is Sam Omangi, and on Twitter @Sam Omangi. As we get to discuss this on our social media accounts, please send your views also to the text on the screen. We're going on a short break, and this short break, as we had said last week, we already have our first video, and if you also want to contribute on the talent segment, do as these guys have done. Be blessed. Hi guys, welcome to the Identity. It's Prt.1, and we do hope that talent segment imewabariki, and if you want to contribute, send us a video on our social media accounts, that is Facebook, The Identity. You can also tag me at Samuel Mangi, so we can get to put your talent out there. And I always say this, ile talent umeficha, it's like a light, you know, and the Bible does not encourage people to hide your light. Put it out there so that it might encourage someone, it might strengthen someone's spirit in this journey of faith. Now, before the break, we were talking about, actually, Diane had alluded to culture, how culture affects communication. And Gitanda, please add voice to this. She had said something about culture, and please add voice into this aspect. That has it barred youth in relation to the conflict that is in family?
Yeah, what I can say about culture has barred our communication at some level, because actually the previous show they hinted slightly on culture, whereby we were talking of family setup where, as a girl, how do I communicate with my father? You see, there's some things you cannot communicate with your father, and I'd rather speak to my mother about them, but it creates a barrier between me and my father. We will not relate the same, and therefore we have to find solutions to how we relate with each other, such that it's easy to communicate to one another within the family level. So,
Bundi, let me bring you also in the aspect of culture. Has culture, I want to borrow from your personal experience, has culture probably barred you from how you express yourself in the family? And probably you have seen something gone wrong, but kwa sababu culture na dictate kijana ngoja, wazee wazungumze kisha zungumze. Have you experienced that?
As I was thinking about culture, there's the culture maybe of a home, and there's also acquired culture in a family. So like acquired culture is each family has maybe its traditions. You can find like
It's way of life.
exactly
Kawaida
it's
yao
way-
tu.
bas umeipata kabisa. So you find like personally, you've asked about my personal experience. I can say culture affected how I was and how I am right now. When you will find me at around age 8 years, maybe when I was 8 years, and when I am now, it's really different. When I grew up, the culture around me made me to be very timid and very shy. But right now, yes, I can say my personality, it also, it's partly personality, but right now I can say that after I grew and started knowing myself much more, I started now undoing that culture that I had acquired. Now I started becoming outspoken and I could speak my mind. You know, Dan said somebody can speak his mind, and it starts from way very, very young. So you see that the culture of my background barred me a bit on how I could communicate with people. I could just see something maybe bad, but I think it's not good for me to speak. Exactly.
Now then, what would you see in regarding to culture now? What attitude should we approach it in regards to communication in the family?
I would say that every culture is formed. And at the beginning of this show, we said that the basic unit of formation for anything on this planet is the family. So I'll tell you the basic unit for formation of any culture is still the family. It's a family that forms, you know, trends on how people speak, on how people express themselves. So if one family would decide that we are setting a different culture, soon the members of this family will be married elsewhere. They'll continue with this culture. And those two will carry the culture forward. So if you could change your small unit, I remember when we got married, he started one home culture to encourage us to talk. It was kuchoma mahindi. You know?
Hey, okay.
And that was a session just simply for eating as you roast. I mean, talking as you roast maize. It, you know, and there's time at home that is blocked out. It's called family time. And at family time, you just have to talk, even if you don't want to talk. Yes, it's time to talk. And you'll put measures to protect family time, because if you miss family time for a week, a month, a year, people are going to go silent. So each family must find out what works for them. For some people, it's having an early morning breakfast meeting, you know, let's get together and talk. For others, it could be supper time. Everyone, this is time for us to talk. So culture is defined by family. And if everyone in their family, if a young person in their family will try and decide that I'm going to change the culture at home, then you can be sure you'll change the culture around you.
So let us know to it. You have something?
Yeah, let me add in something. I was having a talk with my brother the other day, and I was like, I just came and asked him, "Baby, when did I last say hi to you?" You know, because by the time I'm getting home, he's maybe on his laptop, or you know. Then I said, from today henceforth, nikitoka job, we have to have a session where we catch up and know what's happened during the day. And I think even at the family level, it's good to have the same culture. You know, this develop cultures actually. You say every day or after every 2 days we have a talk, whereby we just communicate. You know, the being silent and lifestyle changes really, really affects families. So it's good to communicate. It's good to catch up. It's good to develop cultures, and you know, even maybe for example, you can say maybe honesty cultures. A lot of cultures we develop, and
One
good
thing,
to articulate.
one thing that I'm taking home is that do not wait until Christmas that you can get to talk, to speak to your father, and you live in the same roof. Develop cultures, na musichome mahindi kama yao watu. Achana, hiyo ni yao. And-
Mahindi yangu bwana nini. I think I need to defend that mahindi.
No, do not defend it.
And,
It's working for you.
I'd like to appreciate what she's talking about. and map it to my own experience. When growing up, which was a culture of some other home, we were not bonded as brothers. It was not like I could just call my brother like, how are you?
Ngumu sana.
That would be a Christmas thing. So later in life, you can decide what you will do with that which you have inherited. You can decide, I will call them back. Our home enjoys that time of just sitting and talking. It's called talking unlimited. You just say what you feel. Nobody interrupts.
I also want to bring in the aspect, and I said it the last episode. I'm going to say it again. Speaking to the youth and neglecting the effects of social media in a family setup, it will be basically taking poison and hoping that you die next year. Now, Andrew, family, as much as there's been threats from all over everywhere, social media equally has imeweka pia kuni yake hapo.
Imeongeza kuni.
Imeongeza kuni.
Let's start here. First, there was a disconnect as you were growing up. We have not been talking every other day. The parents have been distant. The youth have been in school. The young people have been in school. I met a mobile phone first. Way after Form 4, I remember when I was going to the university.
Mungu ni mwema.
And it was a Sagem. You guys don't even know what a Sagem phone is. Yeah, maybe today, phones are given to children at very young age. I don't know whether people consider, and when we talk about social media doesn't have to be social. Media can be laptop, which may not be very social. Some of us don't have laptops. But media is anything that takes attention from personal talk. It can be television. It can be PlayStations. I think those things need to be legislated. When families can develop cultures on no social media in the dining room. I mean, you just come and sit and talk. Get the experience of just, so like you said, I agree with you. Social media imeongeza kuni. Sio kuni ya kuchoma mahindi, but kuni ya kuchoma communication. So there is no real communication going on. Yet, as I said, social media can be a good tool for connecting even families. Imagine if I could have all my uncles, I can just reach them on a social media group. I can know so and so is sick. Information can come to me at an instant. So it can be used positively, but it must be managed at a family level where it is introducing its ugly head, where people are now in their own rooms with their... A lot of parents have complained. I have had a lot of parents complaining, this boy is always on his phone. Who are they talking to? Why are they not talking to you?
Bundi, do you think it's enough when parents revoke social media for the youth? Or do you think that is the best way to go?
Complete
Yes.
revocation. I can't say... okay, I can say yes and no.
JK home too. Home.
Okay, social media, what it has brought, we have talked about culture. I can say it has brought about an emoji culture. And an emoji culture is the culture where we cannot communication is an expression, and it's a two-way. Communicate, feedback. That's now the total package of communication. And the emoji culture is where number one, it brings about impatience. And when you look to the youth nowadays, we are really impatient with everything, and it is said so. Even how people want to get money, they want fast money, they want fast things. So as my sister Winnie said, when you're sad on WhatsApp or when you're happy on WhatsApp, put a smiley face. Sasa hiyo mtu angekuona live hata
maisha imekunyorosha.
Unaona? So that and that's why I think something also that I was thinking that nowadays you find even in the meetings where parents and youth are, you find the youth saying, the parents do not understand us. Then the parents also say the youth do not understand us. Now where's the problem? Because everyone is saying there is no understanding between the two. So you find it really brings some conflict, because some parents say as is in the analog, mimi bado niko na ile sage MCM. Mtoto ako hapo anapanguza tu screen, you see. So it has brought so much conflict. And what I can say is, when the parents now come to sit and they communicate together with the youth, so that as also I can just attest with that, go back to culture. The social media is not bad, but bring also a personal touch to it, a face-to-face thing. Okay, personally I can say that, like us as a family, we have evening sessions. There's that, you know, that before we eat, we need to sit down as a family.
Oh, sio kwa WhatsApp.
Sawa. Online meetings, eh? See, okay, online meetings.
I think what I'm borrowing from is that total revoking social media is not the best way, but looking for a way that it could be moderated is going to be the most efficient, in a way that Winnie hata sikia tinika amenyimwa kwa life yake, na pia dadi ama mami hata feel ni kama I'm so disconnected from my child.
Though I would also wish to add that probably parents need to join the social media, because if my child is on social media, really, if my child is on social media, I don't know what he or she is doing there. I don't know what goes on social media. How do I get the mindset if I'm not there? You find...
Diana, what?
Yes.
Please hold up the mic.
Yes. Let me ask, is your mom your friend on social media?
Yes, she is. And then there's also just learning what exactly happens on social media, and knowing that, oh, now that I know what happens on social media, I can guide my child on what to post and what not to post. There are families who fight on, social media, yet the fight 2 days later will be done. You'll be friends, but yet the fight remains where? On Facebook for the whole world to see. So you find conflict that is out there, but you too, the conflict has already been resolved. So parents need to join this thing and not be so afraid and continually remain analog while the world is moving forward.
I agree with that.
You agree with her?
What to
kuisha.
Though as a parent, you should limit how your child, accesses social media, especially the young kids, especially in primary school. There should be a limit, because whatever they get there, at times is not good for them. But for people our age, it's good if your parent is on social media, because he or she will be able to know what is going on there, and they can be able to give guidance on, what you do. And these are, like, my mom is on WhatsApp. She's a very active social, and it's good, because I'll post something and she'll tell me, "I really your picture towa." It's not good. Towa. It's guidance, and she'll tell me, when you post these, what are people seeing about you? You're communicating, so it's good. It's good.
I know some of...
I have a question. How about parents who, before you are even old enough to decide, there are parents who put all your baby photos, everything on social media, and then you grow up and suddenly you already had a profile on social media. What do we tell such parents?
We'll get back to that in a second, but one thing that I know some of the youths who are listening to this are like, "Wow, I'm not willing to have a watchdog, so to speak, on social media." Ukaniambia, okay, sasa wewe usiweke. But then let's look at it. I've been saying this: prevention is better than cure. It's better to seek counsel from an elderly person, because as much as unaona uko mjanja sana kupost kitu fulani, hiyo ujanja yako, it's not like it's new to them. As much as umeze metamorphosize kitu hiyo into your age, or rather to look at your parents, it's still the same. But here are some of the concerns of how social media can be approached. Those opinions are well thought of, and if I were you, I would pick one, leave rest, or pick all, and integrate 3, because they are going to be very essential in your approach on social media. Now, there are some 2-3 things that we need to wind up with, and I want to bring you in and ask you, in our family, Kasika Vijana, has there really been a platform where we can get to express our emotions, so to speak? Ama ni emoji mkofiti, just the way he had alluded earlier that we just have emoji culture. How can we express ourselves?
I think as youth, it's good when you have face-to-face communication, whereby if I have a problem, I can comfortably go to Bundi and say, Bundi, you know, ABCD is happening, and can you advise me on this? Other than, you know, I have a problem, I post my problems on social media, and then everyone is commenting these negative comments, positive comments, but it's good to go and communicate to a friend on a face-to-face level, and then share insight, look at the Bible. So I think face-to-face communication works better to express emotions and, you know, get insight over things other than looking at social media.
But also to bring you in, what would be my role as a youth? Probably I've never had this communication, this kind of way of expressing to my paps and say, hey, by the way, takwaje.
You know, they say the youth are the next generation. But the next generation is not next, it's now.
Wow.
So as a youth right now, it's not your role to wait upon the parent. If, of course, probably it has happened, and yes, you don't have so much to do. So as a youth, it's not your role to wait for the parent to come to you. You can initiate, because, you know, past 18, even the law says you're already an adult.
You're an adult.
So if you are at you become mature enough, you can initiate some things like, okay, personally I think like spending time together. You can, I have a friend who initiated something in her home because the parents were traveling all over, they come only weekends. So they say that every weekend, Sunday, Dad, you're not going anywhere. Just stay with us, as in, hata tupige tu story. Unaweza choma mahindi pia. Bora talk. So something like that, spending time together and initiating. The youth are very capable of initiating really good things.
That also reminds me of 2 incidences. One is a story that there's a young kid. When his father was always busy, and what is interesting, he used to make a lot of money. So he used to be paid for every hour this amount of money. And this kid, being that he came from a good family, alikuwa na license poa mingi. But then one day in an evening, he went to the father and asked, how much do you get to earn in an hour? Then the father was like, okay, what are you talking about? Just tell me, I'm interested in, you know, how kids can get their way. And then the father went ahead and said, I earn X amount. Okay, so interestingly, as I come to the end of that story, that this child saved the amount of money that was enough to pay his father for that 1 hour. And that in itself also echoes to what you've said. It's up to us as youths, you know, to initiate this. Kunaweza kuwa na challenge. It does not really matter how badly your family is broken, but until when we own up and realize that we are part of that family, we will initiate these communications, and we will be able to look at ways that we can get to mend these conflicts. And also, just as we come to a close, Andrew, how can the youth approach conflict resolution in a family?
What she said is important. When he said, I don't create a physical problem, then I handle it on social media. Like when you are angry at me, it's just good to manage your feelings and stay there. And you learn a lot of things when you are managing that emotion. It's not going and then you can send a text that I'm sorry. It's so easy to send a text that I'm sorry, but it takes a lot of courage to face the person and say I'm sorry. And you learn a lot in that in that one-on-one conversation. And the youth also need to learn. There's a lot about themselves they need to learn in managing a conversation. A phone call goes like this. This is a husband and wife. I would like to play the role. Honey, today I'm coming home late. The wife decodes. Why are you always away? Are you finding, is your job more important than me? Do you have another woman? When the guy arrives at home, you know the rest of the story. It's David and Goliath. Another husband calls home. Another husband calls home. Honey, I'm going to come home late. The woman decodes, he's really working hard to maintain our home. And that perception, by the time the guy comes home, the whole setup is different. The woman is waiting for a tired guy. So I think the management of your own emotions is very important. It goes into conflict management. It's never bad, I say in our home. It's never bad until I speak. It doesn't matter what you've told me. It's my perspective about it.
Now, as we come to a close, what would be your take-home, Andrew, as we come to a close? What will be the take-home of that youth who's in that probably broken home or that flourishing home? What should they think or rather perceive of communication in the family?
Communication in the family is something that is going on. You are learning or unlearning, or you're experiencing the bad effects as we are speaking. The only take-home is awareness and then starting the right journey. When you are aware, you are likely to know. I usually get angry because, I get frustrated, I don't have anybody to share with. There are many young people who don't have mentors. They don't have anybody to share with. And then they end up in bad relationships. Somebody could be even in a bad relationship right now. We started by saying people divorce not because there was lack of love. They started out loving. What happened along the way? So the take home is this thing is so crucial that you have to do something about it.
Wow. Dan.
I would say, while at home, please learn to speak and express yourself clearly. I remember when I was growing up, my mom would send us, please go get my car keys, iko hapo kwa kichwa yangu. I don't know if you understood what kwa kichwa yangu is. And if you didn't go, you'd suffer a beating. And then you're wondering, why is mom beating me? It's because the communication there was not clear. What she meant is, it's at, my pillow, the bed, there's a drawer there, just go get the key from there. But she said, iko kwa kichwa yangu. And sometimes, because people have not learned how to communicate clearly, people end up in conflicts because of not communicating. There's no end to learning. Listen, because that's where communication is learned. And listen to good people. Surround yourself with good environments. Visit good families where communication happens, and you'll find a gem or two to transfer to your own family. God bless you.
Winnie, what will be your parting shots?
My parting shot today is we should learn to communicate and learn to listen to someone, understand their issue, communicate, and things will go well.
Bunde, with your quote-unquote wisdom that you said is your mingi.
The panel has said it, communication. I won't go the communication way. I will say we should learn to listen. And listening, just read, we were reading with my brother Andrew about listening in heart to heart. It's a very good book. I would advise the youth to go and peruse some pages and find some wisdom also, some nuggets. So let us learn to listen and listen well. There's bad listening and there's good listening. If we listen and listen well, then the communication chain will be closed and things will just go in.
Wow. Thank you so much. Well, it's interesting. I wouldn't disagree with what our guests have said. Thank you so much for your insights. God bless you. And may we not speak about this, but may we live it. And one thing I'm taking home is that as youths, we are responsible of what happens in the family. Your silence is not the remedy. It could further destruction. So own up. You're not a fan in that family. You're a member. Meaning, if you remember, your voice has, has implications, so to speak.
Voice has a vote.
Your voice has a vote. Thank you so much. So speak up. And as they said, listen well. Because listen in the sense that you do not decode your things, but listen and be able to capture the emotion and understand what message is desired to be put across. We have come to the end of our show, but not the end of this discussion. Get to our social media platforms. On Facebook, that is The Identity, and on Twitter at Hope_Kenya. You can also find me on Facebook and on Twitter at Sami Mangi. This show is going to be on our YouTube, that is Hope Channel Kenya. Watch, comment, share, so that a brother can probably learn and be encouraged. And I will keep on saying this. Our time is now. Own up your space.